I have cleared out everything from inside this index.ts, and now we just have the things that we need to run this application. And if you still want that same reference back, then you can come inside this GitHub link, and from here you can go to the 02 middleware function. And here you will get that same exact thing back. As you can see, we have that same exact code. Now let's come inside our project, and now let me go to this node.md, and this is the little node that I have added with this markdown. And if you just want to view this, you can simply press Control Shift or Command Shift and V, and that's how you can view the markdown files inside VS Code itself. So these are the auth routes that we want to have. So here we have this auth router, and I'll come to this later. Then here you can see we have this post method and few of these get methods as well. So the very first thing that we want to handle here is the sign up. Then we want to handle the verify, whether these users or the email IDs that those users are using is valid or not. Then we are going to handle sign in, and because we want to handle the authentication with refresh token, so for that we also need to have the way to regenerate those tokens where our users can refresh those tokens. Then we are going to have the sign out, and then profile where a user can get their profile, and all those kind of things. You will understand them later. But first of all, let's try to set up this only sign up route first, okay? And as we already saw, that's how we can set up our route. Like we can use this app dot the method that we want to use, and this is the place where we can have our route or the path, okay? But because here we are going to handle the multiple paths or multiple routes, what we are going to do, we are going to follow this pattern called MVC, which stands for model, view, and controller. You will understand them later, but for now, let's just go and create this new folder called routes. And inside this routes, I'm going to create this new file, and this is going to be auth.ts. So inside this auth.ts, we are only going to handle the things that are related for our authentication route, or this is going to be our auth router. Now inside this index.ts, to create our routers, we just have this function called app, right? But because we are following the MVC pattern and we want to segregate these codes in a different file, there is this thing called a router. So we can simply import this router. So I'm going to simply type out this router, and if I type this router here, you can see VS Code is giving me this suggestion. Now if I click on this, this is going to import this router from inside this express, and this is going to give us that same exact power that we had with that app method, okay? So now we are going to call it auth router, and we are also going to export this as default like this, okay? Now once we are going to have this, what we can do, we can use this auth router, and this is going to be like the middleware function, and we can use it right here. So after using this express.json and express URL encoded, I'm going to use, or let's just add this comment right here. I'm going to call it API routes, and we are going to use this app.use method, and here we are going to use our auth router like this. And as you can see, that's how we are importing it right now. Also, if you want to fix these things, like I have already mentioned inside this paths, we can have the routes, right? So you can simply change it to src/routes, and this is going to work like this. But also if you want to customize this, like I'm going to duplicate this one, and here I'm going to create another route, and this is going to be routes. So for that, what we can do, we can go to the src folder, and right here we can go to the routes, which is going to be this directory routes. And because we are using the star, rest of the things that we'll have inside this routes, this star will resolve all of them. Let's just save this file, and now what you can do, you can also remove the src. So to resolve all these paths, we also have that thing inside here, if you remember, called tsconfig paths, and we have this tscls. Whenever we are going to transpile our code, we are going to resolve it to like this. So now we don't need to care about all these things. We can simply use routes/auth, because this is the custom path that we have inside our TypeScript config JSON file. Now let's come inside our auth.ts, and what we can do, we can simply use this auth router dot post method, and here we are going to, because we are using our auth endpoint, I'm going to prefix this with auth, and here we are going to create our sign dash up. And now like the same, we can create other as well, like the sign in, and we can also create the verify, or we can create the refresh token like this. We can go on and on. But if you remember here, we are simply repeating ourselves. We are just repeating with this auth slash. Again, what we can do, we can use the power of this use method. Like with this, we are going to use this auth router for our entire application. But also what we can do, we can simply define this thing like slash auth right in front of this auth router. And now what this will do, this will apply this auth router only for this slash auth endpoint. Okay, now you can come inside your auth router and you can simply remove all of these things. And let me just show you the simple thing. Let's have this request and response, this callback function, and here I'm going to simply send the response back, and I'll just send this okay. And now let's come inside our postman, and what I will do, I'll go to this localhost colon 8000 slash auth slash sign dash up. Now if I send the request, I'll get the okay back, and this is coming from right here. But as you can see, I'm just using this sign up instead of auth slash sign up. So how is this possible? This is possible because of the use method and the prefix that we have for this use. So this auth router is going to be applied only to our auth endpoint, or the endpoint that is going to start with the slash auth. So this is going to be our auth router where we are going to handle a bunch of these things. I'm going to simply remove the rest of the others. First of all, we'll just care about the sign up. And as I already mentioned, we are going to use this thing called MVC pattern, where we are going to separate all of our codes. So for that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create another folder like controllers, and inside this controllers, I'm going to create this auth.ts. So this is the place where we are only going to handle the auth routers, and this is the place where we are going to have all of our controllers. So controller is going to be the function which is going to control how we are going to handle the sign up part. So let's come inside this controller, and this is going to be create user, or you can call it create new user. So this is the thing which we want to do whenever we are going to handle the sign up route. We want to create our new user, right? So here you can see we have these implicit any if you hover over on them. So that's why here we have to define their types. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to define the type of this function, and this is going to be request handler. And now because we also want to use this function inside our sign up route, we are going to simply export this function. Let's save this, come inside our auth route, and here I'm going to import my create new user. And again, you can see we are using this src/controllers. And again, if you want to, you can do the same thing like we did for our routes. We can come inside our tsconfig.json, and we can create new path, or we can register new path like this. So whenever we are going to use the controllers, this is going to resolve the path from inside this src controllers, and whatever that is going to come after this controllers. Let's just save this file, and now the problem will be solved. Now if we save this file, let's come inside our postman and send the request. We'll get the okay back. It means everything is working completely fine. Also, if you're not getting okay back inside our postman, you can open your terminal and see what error that you are getting. So there should not be any complex error because we haven't done any complex thing yet. So mostly the things will be related to those paths, or you forgot to save these files. So once you're going to have everything like this, now we have our auth route in place where we can create our new user. And again, inside this node.md, I have few of these things to handle this sign up or to create new account. These are few steps that we want to pass. So here we have these 8 steps that we are going to follow to create a brand new user. So I'm going to add them right here. So these are things that we are going to follow, and we will go through one by one line from the next video.